everybody, welcome to the very first episode of the Tidalwave Afterwork Podcast. My name is Patrick Damiani and this is my very good friend Marc Maurer.
Hey guys.
We are both audio engineers, music producers and musicians ourselves, and we get asked a lot of questions about our work.
Yeah, a lot of questions all the time, and that's kind of the reason why we are here, because we thought, why not share a little discussions on these topics with you guys on the internet. Combined, we're coming close to like 40 years of experience working in this business, in the studio and live. We also worked on tons of projects together over the years. So if you want to know a little bit more about ourselves and the work that we did, check out the links in the description of this video.
And this podcast works like this. You send in your questions and we answer them. It's that simple.
Very simple.
So let's dive in with the first one.
Let's go. Okay, so the first question comes from Chris German, which is basically Chris German.
Chris German.
Okay, Chris German. Chris asks, or wants to know, can you recommend a minimal setup for recording?
Okay.
Can you?
Can I? I'm sitting right in the luxury of not having to have a minimal setup. So, but what do you need? Well, it depends on what you want to make. Are you going to make a demo? Or is it going to be like a mix? A full recording and a mix? If you just want to make a demo, get an iPad with GarageBand.
Yeah.
There's everything. There's a microphone built in. You can attach a pair of headphones and go for it.
Yeah.
That's it. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, get a second-hand computer, something if you don't have one already, a little USB interface, a microphone, something, and go for it.
Yeah.
If you get an old used Mac, you have GarageBand for free, and you're good to go. What do you think?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, maybe you want to think about the inputs that you have in case you really want to record. So just, I don't know, because it could also be like you are maybe, if you have two friends, one is a singer, one is a guitar player, maybe you want to consider to be able to at least record a guitar and a vocal at the same time.
So two inputs.
So two inputs minimum, I would say, would be a good thing.
Because there are small interfaces where you just have like one input, you can attach one microphone, but having two, you could also record in stereo.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more flexibility.
You can do almost anything with just two inputs.
Yeah, and also I think these days probably like any DAW has like decent sounding whatever, drum samples or anything. You can work with like some synthesizer sounds or keyboard sounds. And you don't even need that could maybe be a thing, like a little MIDI keyboard maybe, because if you are able to either play like piano or just like figure out to find notes or want to play the drums.
No need to click in
everything. You don't have to click in anything.
And maybe the last little advice that I would give is buy secondhand.
Yeah,
buy secondhand. You can buy an old MacBook Pro for a couple $100 and it will do anything you need for a small home recording setup. And in case you find out that you don't need the stuff anymore, it was not the best buy, you can sell it at almost the same price and it was just borrowed out more or less.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, okay. So
that's it, yeah.
So the minimal, let's say maybe the minimal but most flexible thing would be like computer, an interface with two inputs, a microphone, maybe some headphones, and some DAW, whatever.
Yeah. That's it. Welcome back. The next question is from Nikos Mavridis, who is an excellent violin player, and I've recorded over 100 songs with him, and he asked me following question.
Hi, Nikos.
Hi, Nikos. Patrick, as someone who has begun his engineering career in the early 2000s, where digital recording was still in the early stage of development, how did you see your workflow changing through the period of the last, 25 years due to the vast development of plugins and other tools that are available today? Well, I didn't start with tape. I started when Pro Tools was pretty new, but I started with Pro Tools right away. I remember that we had the Pro Control sitting on the analog desk that was at the studio before. So I was starting right when we switched from from tape to digital. So, but I started in '99 with Pro Tools. So it was basically
black and white, everything.
Yeah, black and white. But it was more or less the same program as today. The only big difference was that processing power was nothing. The computer we used was a Mac Tower, which had 333 megahertz. So this was really slow. But there were already processing cards who took the work of DSP, but it was very, very limited. So it was basically as if it was in analog domain plus recall. But I had maybe like, I don't know, 10 compressors, 10 EQs, and track count was limited. I don't know what it was, 32 tracks. So it was almost like analog.
Very limited. Just
very limited. So you really had to think, do I have another compressor for that backing vocal? And the answer was most probably no, you don't have it. So you had really to think about how to take care of your resource.
Yeah, probably also think more about like arrangement and that kind of stuff. If you have to think about like, should we do this overdub or not, or should we prioritize something else? Or I guess that's.
Well, you could also do this on tape. You can combine tracks and compile them to one track, but it was really like you didn't split your lead vocal over 16 tracks as you sometimes get today. Verse 1, verse 1B. So you put everything. And I kept this method until today. If clients send me in tracks to mix and it's like verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, bridge, chorus 1, chorus. The first thing I do is I limit track count immediately. I think maybe people who are starting out now and they are used to the opulence of having unlimited resource, I see this in the style of their sessions. And I know that people like Chris Lord Alge and stuff, the first thing they do is like reduce it to 46 tracks, so 48 tracks on the machine and 2 tracks for sync and stuff. So, and this is also good for the eye. So reduce everything, and I think I'm still a little bit old school because of this. But the main difference is resource, less stuff. Less stuff. What is your experience? You started in the box as well?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I started later, so I don't even know one exactly. But yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but in 15 years, a lot has happened.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say, because I didn't like learn in like a traditional studio or anything, for me, it was more like another form of limitation, like just having a small interface or just having like a light version of some DAW, so they were the same limits basically. You didn't have like countless tracks or anything or CPU power or whatever. So, and also just like like the plugins and things just got better and sounded better more quickly. Now you buy whatever instance of like a drum sample library.
That has changed.
You just put them up and they just sound like pretty good. And I mean, I remember that like the first demos and recordings I did, I would do stuff like program drums in Guitar Pro, the Guitar Pro notation program.
Yes.
Which is basically just like the
I wrote complete songs in Guitar Pro with everything.
Same. But then, because that was the only way to go about it, I would just render out the drums from Guitar Pro, put them in Cubase or whatever, and then played more tracks to it. I sometimes even did the same thing for like keyboard sounds, because there were no VST instruments, so I just, whatever was like artificial anyways, because I couldn't record it live, I could plug in a microphone or just like a direct signal for guitar. I would do in Guitar Pro and convert that to the DAW. So
this exact same thing. I remember now that you say it, we had like the Pro Tools computer and we had the Logic computer. It ran Logic 2.6 on a 66 megahertz computer. We had 32 megabyte of RAM for samples. So it was like one velocity level. And I did the exact same thing. We had basically the MIDI computer, and then we were feeding like basically audio recording the programmed stuff into Pro Tools, so that we could add stuff on top or try to put them in sync or somewhat. That's it. It's basically the main difference is quality of plugins and resources. Okay,
that's it. we're back. For us, for you, it's actually only been a couple seconds. For us, it's been a little bit longer.
It's magic.
It's magic.
We are in a time warp zone.
Everything's possible. Okay.
What do we have?
Next question is from Michaela Fürst. And the question is, what makes a good musician?
Wow.
You just have to be myself and no, I'm kidding.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Imagine being no. Okay. Well, that's 4 words and a very big question. I would say this. Let's consider live musician and studio musician. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit like. One is, if you take 2 race drivers, one is driving race cars and the other one bikes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It shares a lot of similarities, but it's different.
Yeah, it is.
You are very experienced live musician. So let's go with live first. What makes a good live musician?
I think the biggest thing being a live musician is
being there.
Being there, first of all, being on time.
Yeah.
Just being punctual. No, but seriously, like in the live situation itself, I'm talking about the show you're playing that time. Because there's other aspects, of course, like sound check. But let's talk about the show when you're actually playing an instrument. I think the biggest thing is, first of all, being aware of your surroundings on stage and watching and listening to the other members on stage.
Yes.
Just don't be only in your zone. I mean, a little bit you have to be. That's fine.
It's team play.
It is team play. Just like realize that what other people on stage are doing, what they are reacting to, how they are interacting. Really try to play with the other musicians. And I think really the main thing, even more so, is let's say you are a bass player in a band.
Yeah.
I think it's always important to just have like a plan B when stuff goes really bad and wrong. In terms of like prioritize in your head, like what is the thing on stage that runs the show? In 99.9999% of the times, it's the singer.
Computer.
It's the computer. No, but it's the singer. It's whoever fronts the band.
Yeah.
So if I see that my singer has trouble with his monitor wedge, for example, what I would do without even thinking or hesitating is just kicking my wedge over, giving a signal to the monitor guy, being like, put that stuff on her monitor or his monitor.
Yes.
Just being aware, like, if I don't hear me playing, just be professional and keep playing. But if like the singer, whatever you like,
he needs to hear himself.
He absolutely needs to be able to intonate and sing properly and connect with the audience. And that's what it's all about. You're playing a role. And it's a team, like you said. But you really have to just worry about whenever something goes wrong, that thing in the front just has to work.
So you are more, your first thought is about keep the show going and having awareness. And you say that, also, I suspect you think like, being able to play your shit is that's like you need to know the alphabet in order to write the book.
Yeah,
that's a given.
That's a given
thing.
We don't have to talk about that in my opinion.
That's a good one. It's maybe the most important thing. Yeah, listen and also the coherence of the performance. If the bass player is rushing all the time, it doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Which brings us to the studio, because this is being in time in a different way is a good thing in the studio. Not rushing. I think 99% of all musicians in the studio are rushing.
Totally.
Maybe that's some prehistoric instinct graved into our DNA. It's like, oh, there is the saber-toothed tiger. I have to get away. Yeah. I seriously think something like this. Most musicians are afraid to be too late, and they are too early.
Yeah, and the pressure makes it even worse.
Yeah. So being calm in a way that you're not rushing and playing in a controlled and cool way. Another thing is, of course, being prepared.
Yeah.
Rehearse your stuff.
Yeah.
I cannot understand that some musicians go into the studio and they have to think first, what did I already play there? It's incomprehensible to me. Yeah. You have to be prepared. Prepare your stuff. Rehearse as much as you humanly can at home. And use the resource in the studio to deliver a great performance. It's like the singer. I would love to see singers sing their songs without lyrics.
Yeah.
50% of your attention goes to the lyric sheet, and there's only 50% left for the performance. But if you memorize the lyrics and close your eyes, and it's all about performance. You want to get the audience grabbed by the balls.
Yeah.
And this is happening when you deliver a extremely extraordinary performance.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, I wouldn't say no to a perfect execution, but performance and attitude is very important. You can fix tuning, you can fix timing a little bit, you can fix all that stuff, but attitude and expression is not fixable. So that makes a good musician for me, being able to express music well.
Yeah.
I would maybe put this as the main thing, and everything else it's given. Practice your stuff and know your instrument, and that's all given. But performance and awareness.
Yeah, that sums it up.
That's it. Great
Cool.
question. Thank you.
Thanks.
We are back
Hello.
with a question. A question.
Question.
From Michele Zappone, which is a good friend of mine, and he's a musician. I have also recorded a lot of times with him. And we met yesterday, and I was telling him about this podcast, and he said, well, I have a question, because usually he comes to my studio to record, but he's doing demos at home, and he's struggling with technical stuff. And he was asking me, what order do I put plugins on my tracks? And which plugins do I use? So, and it's like, okay, which plugins are we talking about? It's like EQ, compression, reverb. Yes. Okay, all of this. All right. So basically, this is a question like an answer for people who are really starting out, and okay, plugins and stuff and compressors, and they're overwhelmed with choice and have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I think there's a lot to like uncover there, because I think I know this tendency from when I started out of being like, okay, I have this DAW, I want to record something, there's plugins. I have heard of EQ and compression and these things, so I put them all on there because they belong there, but then you realize it doesn't sound any better. So I guess the point is, you should ask yourself, like, listen to what you're listening to, and then being like, what does it need? Does it sound? And I try to put it very simply. Like, there's a voice, you recorded a voice, whatever, some singing. And then you're like, does it sound bright or maybe dull or just dry and boring? Or is it sometimes way too loud and sometimes way too quiet? Like, try to ask yourself simple questions first. Don't think about the plugins.
What is wrong?
Like, what is wrong?
What needs to be fixed?
Why do I not like this yet?
Yes.
And then if you can answer those questions, for example, being like, sometimes it's very loud, sometimes it's very quiet. Okay, then maybe you need to apply some compression. That would be
I would have said reverb.
Fix.
You put reverb on top, so no, that was a joke. But
yeah, sure. I mean, the point that I make is like, ask
you
yourself,
have to know the sickness before you know the cure.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
that's it. You are not going to the pharmacy and like, give me some pills, and then like, blue pills, red pills, green pills, and then
I probably have a problem.
Yeah,
I don't know it yet, but I must have a problem.
Yeah. There must be some. There are pills, so someone has to take them. Yeah. That's a little bit the thing with plugins.
Yeah.
There are 5 million plugins, stock plugins, and you think you need to put. The truth is, sometimes I have an arrangement, for example. If I'm arranging it myself and I put instruments just in their pockets, sometimes there is absolutely nothing. There's not even reverb room. There's simply nothing. Sure. It's a guitar and it's there. Basta. Fertig.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like you said, okay, you need some tonal correction or some loudness correction, but to go into detail is a little bit too much for one question now. The thing is really try to look what's wrong and then find the cure for it. One basic thing maybe is on the direct track, don't put the reverbs and all that spatial stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe keep everything which is related to the dry signal on the track, like EQ, which means like tonal correction, more bright, more bass. And if you want to compact the signal dynamically and give it some flavor, maybe compression is the right thing. And everything which is delays and reverbs and stuff, you should run them in parallel. You send them to an effect bus and make that signal wet, so you have like voice and you have voice reverb, and you merge them together. So then you can put some guitar on that reverb as well. This saves resource because you don't need 25 reverbs. And it's the thing, because he was asking me, do I put the reverb first and stuff? But if you put plugins on a channel, they are serial.
Yeah. They affect each other. You have a reverb in place first, then you get some compression, and then you will bring up all this reverb tail.
It affects the way the reverb is. So if at all, if you really have to put the reverb on the track, put it last.
Yeah.
It's last. You have to, usually it's like, okay, if you have some tonal correction, maybe that would be first.
Yeah.
And you feed this into the compressor.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like EQ compression, sometimes like EQ compression, EQ.
Yeah.
There is no rule to this.
Yeah, there isn't. I'm just thinking, like, if you want to go like really, really basic and like a way that works in 90% of the time, just go like fader first and don't underestimate the fader. Just try to get the best balance with the elements you have, and panning, which is not about plugins, but still, I remember from
a plugin.
When I started out, the problem always was that I wouldn't even touch the fader or the panning. You know, you just start like slamming
something
plugins on something before you even were like, boop, vocal, fine, good.
Maybe what you can do is that if you are not in the recording stage, but in the mixing stage of your demo or whatever, or production, if you put something on the master bus already, just something that is embellishing everything, it's making it a little bit more compact, maybe opens up a little bit, that could be nice, because this will prevent you from having to put stuff on every individual track.
Yeah, totally.
There are like mastering plugins like the God Particle, which is a really great plugin. You put this on and everything sounds like $1 million already. And if then with moving faders and panorama something is really, really off, then maybe the source is not okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to re-record something. The best case is you only need like little moves, a little bit brighter, a little bit darker, a little bit more compact, and then you add a little bit of ambience, a little bit of room and stuff, and for a demo that should be plenty.
Totally. I would say if you get the basics of like, you can just use like a stock graphic EQ with like 4 bands or something.
Yeah.
If you get the like core principle down of what that does, and maybe a simple compressor, like a really, really simple basic compressor, that can take you a long way to a demo sounding really good.
Back in the days, the broadcast consoles like the one I have here, they had a basic 3-band EQ.
Yeah.
Bass, mid-range, treble. That's it. And that's most of the time almost everything you need.
It is, yeah.
A little bit brighter, a little bit darker, a little bit more beef, a little bit less beef.
Yeah.
That's maybe don't go too deep into the detail. It's just like those basics, the most basic compressor you can find after this, and then some room. And if you need to go further, then, well, you have to spend a lot of time learning that stuff. Yeah. Or you just go to the recording studio. If it's just for a demo, these 3 things are all you need. And after that, you go to a professional, or you really have to invest years and years and years and learn all that stuff.
Yep.
Was that good answer?
I think so. I hope so. Let us know. Thanks. Okay, we're back. Hello. We have another question from Frank Kutscher. Hello, Frank. And he asks, do you ever suffer from imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. Yeah, sometimes I think I'm a poster.
Yeah.
And I put myself on the wall and I look at myself.
And then
I think, what the fuck am I doing here? What the fuck am I doing here is the imposter syndrome thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes imposter syndrome, for those who don't know what that is that some people sometimes think that they don't know what they are doing. They are really an imposter in the position that they are working in, for example. So, which would mean I'm sitting here mixing a song, and then it's like, okay, everyone thinks I know what I'm doing, but I know that I have no clue what I'm doing, and I'm an imposter by pretending to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
While in fact I have no idea. And
yeah, you don't deserve to be there, and you have this feeling of like, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out.
Yeah.
And then it's all gonna be over. It's like,
well, the thing is, that's I think nobody who is self-reflective will ever not be in the position to think he's an imposter.
Yeah.
Because we all make mistakes and we all learn every day.
Yeah.
Well, we should all learn every day, because the journey is over when you see the grass growing from below.
Yeah.
Until then, usually you should learn something every day. And of course, sometimes you're sitting there and you think, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And you feel insecure.
Yeah.
Everyone suffers from insecurity from time to time.
Yeah.
Even though, I don't know, I'm making this professionally for 25 years now.
Yeah.
So I know that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, sometimes you're sitting there and it's just like, you can have a bad day, like a sportsman has a bad day and is not running as quick as usually, and your ears are tired, and maybe you're a little bit stressed, and something can always be, and you just don't feel so good, and everything sounds crap, or you think everything sounds crap, and you don't find the remedy, and you're sitting there like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
It just happens. But next thing you know is you go out for a coffee, you come back and you hit play, and it's like, I was not that bad.
Yeah.
So everyone has that feeling of, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm lost.
Yeah.
Just to find out that it's okay. It's okay. Everyone has a bad day, and everyone is allowed to suffer from this. I'm right. I guess you have the same feeling from time to time as well.
Totally, absolutely, all the time, every day.
All the time.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, and I think I always think that it has to do with the fact that, especially in like art, music production, whatever, I think, I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but I always thought that the reason might be that we are working on things that can never be right or wrong.
It's like you build a wall, it is straight, it has a certain height, this is normed, it's easy.
There's like, exactly, there's like, in that scenario, there's like no room for second guessing and being like, is it really? No, you can just check.
Yeah.
If you write a song, if you mix a song, whatever, and you present it to somebody else, you can never sit there and be, this is right.
Yeah.
It's correct. It's the perfect song. It doesn't exist.
You can think it's the best mix, the best production that I ever made, and the other one says, no, that's not what I had in mind. So this can just happen, but you should let yourself be put down emotionally by this kind of, because at the end of the day it's very subjective, and
that's the thing.
It's like with meanings. Everyone has a meaning about not a meaning. It's a how do you say this in English? A Meinung. Everyone has
opinion about
an
something.
Opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everyone has an opinion about something.
Yeah.
So I think blue is a great color. You say but red is a much better color.
Yeah.
Are you right? Am I right? Nobody's right. And
Yeah.
in art and what we are doing, it's art. So there is no right or wrong. There is just a flavor and sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't feel it, sometimes you feel it, but the artist doesn't feel it, and it's too complex to be pulled down by imposter syndrome or bad feelings or something. Just do your best, go with the flow, and communicate with the artist, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, totally. I think the thing with artists, just the great thing about artists, you can never be wrong, but the also terrible thing is you can never be right. That's kind of what this imposter thing is about. But you just have to come to terms with this, I guess, and just be like, well, like you say, it's just subjective, so don't beat yourself up.
And maybe as a last final word is, at the end of the day, we're just mixing music. It's important for people, of course it is, but we're not sitting in a plane that is going to crash if we do a mistake.
Yeah.
So if something is not wrong, we just fix it. We just communicate, and we will find the right way, and everything is good. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Failure is an option just to make it better the next time.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
It is great. It's
great.
lovely.
That was it. Thank you for bearing with us until now.
Yeah.
I hope it was not too bad for our first episode. And,
I think it was alright.
Yeah. And if you liked it, just in case, in the very improbable case, is that a word?
Sure.
Just if you liked it, subscribe to this channel so you won't miss all the 6,000 next episodes that we're going to put out. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.